This is Michael Goldstein, also known as the Mensch with the wrench. Michael, I see a laundry room, I see a washer and dryer. Tell me you don't have us doing laundry on the show today.
Definitely not. I'm not allowed to at my house. So what we're going to be doing today is getting rid of all this clutter that's on top of the machine.
Okay.
And we have all this blank space around us. So we're going to be installing a shelf and also a hanger holder for drying clothes. We're going to mount that on the wall, which is a great way to use the space in here.
Space is at a premium in Chicago, so maximizing every inch of your home makes all the sense in the world. To do that in this laundry closet, we'll need the shelf and brackets, the wall-mounted hanger holder, a saw to size the shelf, a drill, drywall screws and anchors, a stud finder, and a finished nail and hammer. You want to get this cleared up and get going?
So the first step we're going to do is find the studs on the wall. So this is our stud finder. I'm going to put it on the wall. Studs usually land about 16 inches apart. So make sure to check with your building codes. Newer buildings, they can be spread out a little bit more. Okay. So just make sure you know what you're doing. We're going to run this across the wall. And when this lights up red, that means we hit one side. So that's going to be one side of our stud.
Okay.
So we're going to assume the middle is right there.
Okay. Now you have a ton of space here, but obviously you have to hang it up so people can actually reach this stuff.
So we're going to put our brackets about this height. And we're going to do one more bracket at the end, but there's no stud over here.
Okay.
Because it's more than 16 inches.
So is that something you're going to have to anchor?
Exactly.
The Mensch measures from the vent to the front of the dryer at 30 inches, so he cuts the shelf to 29 inches just to be safe. Our expert handyman owns a circular saw, but you could use a handsaw for the same job. He also uses a hammer and nail to double check his stud finder and be sure we're drilling into a stud.
We're going to get our first bracket up. And
Sure.
to do that, we're just going to reuse that hole that we just did. So I'm going to get a screw in there. And these are
drywall screws?
2-inch drywall screws. It'll be enough meat to get in there. And this has a little hanger on it.
Okay.
So it allows you to be a little flexible. So we're going to get that on there. And we're going to make sure we are nice and level with it before we screw it down.
We mount the left bracket the same way, still checking for level at every opportunity. We don't need any detergent rolling off the shelf and gurgling onto the floor. The last bracket we'll have to do a little bit differently.
So we're just going to put this close to the end here so we don't have too much leftover space, and mark our holes and put in that last screw. So for these, I'm just putting in the screw where the hole's going to go, but we're actually going to use anchors because there's no stud.
Sure.
So this is
Oh, there's a stud, all right.
just not behind the wall.
Oh, okay.
So now these are self-tapping anchors, and what happens is they go into the wall, then you screw the anchor in through the shelf.
Okay.
And this little crack right here actually expands behind the wall. So we're just gonna stick it in and spin slowly and let the anchor do the work.
Okay.
Did you hear that little click?
Yeah.
That was the splitting behind the wall.
Okay.
So we're gonna put that bracket on there and just snug it up. All right, so that's in. Now we're gonna take our shelf, lay it back across, and put the level on it, make sure we got it nice and level. We have it right there in between the lines.
There you go.
And last, we want to make sure to secure it.
Michael pre-drills holes into the bottom of the shelf, then attaches the shelf to the bracket with 3 screws. Then we load it up with all the laundry supplies and check it out. That's one top shelf. On the other side of the closet, we're going to install a hanger holder, a cool little space saver to hang those delicates that shouldn't go in the dryer.
So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this and see how high we want it, and then we're going to find our stud. To do that, we're actually going to use some clothing.
Okay.
So we get it the right height, so it's not too low, too high.
This is actually one of Michael's shirts from his grunge days, I assume.
All right, so that's a good height. I'm just going to make a little mark and hand that off to you.
The Mensch uses the same process that he used with the shelf on the opposite wall. Find the stud and screw it in. That's all it takes.
Wow. That was that simple. I've never been this excited to hang clothes in my life.
In a cool 30 minutes and for about $30 in supplies, we turn this messy laundry closet into a neat and tidy area with some creative use for our vertical space.
Michael, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. If you don't mind, I need to do a load of white, so I'm gonna need that bleach.